We ought to rename our state Washington, Tennessee, because we are here doing the work of D.C. We might as well rename the state capital the White House for various reasons. Because you are discriminating against minorities, you're attacking communities, dividing them, and ripping them apart, and we should all be ashamed on this.
What? You know, the Tennessee legislature is in chaos over a new redistricting maps. You know, watching this debate, you won't believe the logic being used by the Democrats. Let's watch this.
Bill, it's very important to recognize the fact that we are even here. We should not even be here at this special session. In our code, it clearly lays out the state law says that we shall not redistrict. We shall not redistrict except for every 10 years. That is what the law says. The exact call of the governor is illegal. We should not be here. The very fact that we are here is illegal. The fact that the speaker convened us, Speaker Sexton, together, illegal. The fact that Lieutenant Governor McNally convened us together, illegal. The people of Tennessee have a law. What are our laws if we can come in here and break the law? What are our laws?
And Mr. Trooper, please remove that section right there, please. There you go, that section. Go, Representative Powell.
And we are here under illegal terms. This entire proceeding is illegal. And I'm here to say, if we are going to listen to Washington, we always talk about we don't listen to Washington. We ought to rename our state Washington, Tennessee, because we are here doing the work of D.C.
You know, over these last couple of days, we've heard a lot of legal and constitutional reasons of why we should. We've tried to appeal to you through the legal and the constitutional ways. But now it's just to try to appeal to your hearts and humanity. Where is your humanity in this? I would always want to say my ancestors, but I can't even say my ancestors. It was my grandparents. It was in some cases here, our parents were beaten at lunch counters. They died to drink out of water fountains with you. They died because they wanted to use the restrooms with you. Died because they wanted to love who they wanted to love. And died for us to have this right to vote. And I think it's important to think and pause, and I would hope everybody's paying attention and not just letting this go over their head, because this is a very important bill that we're about to change the course of history, and we need to be paying attention and not having sidebar conversations. Because that shows me how important it is to you that you don't care that this is a game. This is not a game. No, this is real life. And I have to fight as if my life depends on it. You know, laws are in place. They had to put these protections and laws in place because white men throughout history have shown that they will do the wrong thing. And look where we are now. You know, we're going to force people to do something that they're not supposed to do. And then just because you can do something doesn't mean that you can't have to do something. If this legislature was in place in the 1960s, black people still wouldn't have the right to vote. They still wouldn't have their past civil rights if this legislature was in place right now. So I want you to pause and think about this. Republicans have been in charge for the last 14 to 16 years. Still, constituents across Tennessee still have no health care, still have problem finding shelter, housing, grocery prices are rising.
No, it's not
and what are we doing about it? We're taking away their voice. So my question is that if the Republican policies were so great, then why do we need to change the lines to rig elections? And why should people be forced to listen to do what we have to do here? So people should pick their representation, not elected officials picking who they want to represent. This is all kinds of wrong. And I can't explain to you how hard it is to keep the emotions in check when I know the importance of what people, my grandparents, my parents went through for me to have this right to be here, to stand here today. So I'm asking my colleagues across the aisle, do the right thing. Don't do what you think you're supposed to do by following your leadership. When we got in here, we pledged allegiance to the flag of the United States. We didn't pledge allegiance to one person that's in charge. So please, as you get ready to make your votes, please vote no against these bills, and let's make sure that we have fair elections. Fair elections mean for everyone, not the rigged elections that we're getting into now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What I want the people to understand, the people outside, the people listening, the people that we are doing this to, not with, that before we do anything else, we have to undo a law that's been on the books for more than 50 years because it's illegal to do what we're getting ready to do. So what do you do when you have a supermajority? You just change the rules and you change the laws. So you can do the bad things that smarter folks before us knew were wrong. I didn't say the pledge today. And I certainly didn't say my usual very loudly, and justice for all. And the reason I didn't say it, it is so disingenuous to say it with folks who in a few minutes are going to vote against justice for all. You don't believe it? You need to stop saying it. We need to write your own pledge because you don't believe the pledge that we say every day. There's no court decision that requires us to be here. None, zero. That is a lie told by the folks who called us here. It is a lie. We do not have to be here. We're costing our counties a fortune. We are making a mockery of this body and of this state. We are the shame of the nation and the shame of this state. We are here to take away the voices of black voters and the people of Memphis, to crack their districts and dilute their voices. You should be ashamed, but guess what? I know that you're not. This is not a special session. This is a white power rally and a white power grab. That is what this is. And you can deny it all you want, but the people in this state know better. They don't want partisan gerrymandering. They don't want gerrymandering by race. They don't want any of it. We have the ability to have independent redistricting done so that it's fair for all, so that voters choose their elected officials instead of elected officials choosing their voters. This is shameful, and that is why when you walk through these halls, you hear shame, 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 because the people are ashamed of you. I know you have got tons of calls and emails, and you're going to ignore them. Well, this is on you. Vote yes. You're telling everyone you're a racist.
I didn't rise today to be emotional, not upset. I'm here to say that this is my second go-round. I'm standing here today because my dad went out to register to vote, but he never got a chance to vote. But I'm standing here today because he didn't get a chance. I feel that it's my responsibility to take up the mantle and run with it. I did get a chance to vote. But all of my life, voting has been a problem with the other side. From childhood to this moment, and this probably is the last time I'm going to get a chance to stand in this well and talk. But here's what I will tell you all this. You're not stopping anything. It's been tried over. In fact, my dad, when he registered to vote, he had to move to a government tent city because they put him out of a place to live. I remember one Friday evening, he came home and announced to us, we got to move. And we said, why? He said, because I registered to vote. We got to move. Where are we going to move? We have no place to move, but we got to go to tent city. This was Friday. But because we knew someone higher than the government, we called a family prayer. And from Friday evening late to early Monday morning, we had a place to stay. So what I'm telling you folks today is, it doesn't matter what you pass, how you draw maps. It doesn't matter how you can draw them any way you want to. You cannot stop God's people. Trust me. If you don't ever hear me say anything else, even if you get to attend my funeral, if I'm dead and gone, you remember this one thing. You are not doing anything but hurting yourself. And listen, at the midnight hour, because we normally like to blame everything on everybody else. You know, I'm bad about saying somebody else made me angry. No. You have to live with yourself. And at midnight, when nobody else is in your room but you yourself, you got to live with you. And if you can sleep, if you can go to sleep, close your eyes and rest that night after doing what you're doing, you do it. But I can tell you this one thing. There's a man that's higher than all of us. And he's looking down on us right now. And you can just remember this. This old black guy told you before he left here, you ain't hurting nobody but yourself. God bless you, and we'll all be okay.
We are jumping a shark. You've heard all of this. We've jumped through all manner of hoops. We've done away with laws that are older than I am, older than probably half the membership in here, for nefarious and racial reasons. That's what we're doing. We have come here today. We have spent this $2 million of our people's money to come here and do something, to do someone else's bidding. You know, that to me is a shame. So let's fast forward to today. So what we're looking at is the speaker, lieutenant governor, the governor are trying to tell us that they happen to get this thing right, and they're right for them, by splitting Memphis up in a perfectly racial, African-American equal way. They managed, it wasn't done for race. They didn't put in race, didn't go. But they got, within 1 percentage point, splitting a city up, and I lived 2 years in Memphis, and the African-American population is concentrated, but it's spread out across there. They got it to within 1 percentage point. Ladies and gentlemen, statistically, the chances of doing that is you hitting the Powerball twice. You got a better chance of doing that than hitting these numbers. So that's a lie. That just didn't happen. They took race into consideration, period. Another historical point, the whole term gerrymandering. There was a governor in Massachusetts, Governor Jerry, that created a district that looked like a salamander. So that's where the term comes from. So what this leadership is now telling you, we've gerrymandered Memphis for political reasons. That's not how the 9th district came to be. The 9th district came to be because it's continuous. It's the only one that's just concentrated within basically a county. So you can't tell yourself that this didn't happen for racial reasons. It's an assault on African Americans.
You know, it is honestly shocking to watch the Democrats' mind is working lately. You know, for years, we've heard that isolating one race into a single district is segregation and racist. But now, when the law is changed to abolish that exact system and integrate those voters across other districts, they still call it racist. You know, it's like they want it both ways, depend if it's convenient to them. You know, take a look at what's happening in Tennessee redistricting. The state just moved to redraw the lines, which is a necessary step to ensure the map reflects the current direction of the state and support a solid legislative agenda. They are literally shouting shame in the hall because the supermajority is doing exactly what they were elected to do, to lead. You know, I'm in full favor of this redistricting. It's about time we stop letting these outdated 50 years old rules dictate how we organize our representation. You know, if the goal is fair elections, then we should be supporting moves that align our district with the actual growth and interests of the people. You know, rather than sticking to maps that only serve one party's narrative. You know, they call it power grab, but in reality, it's just making sure every vote across the state carries the weight it's supposed to. You know, if they are calling for a fair election, they should support the Save America Act because, you know, it requires the voters to show an ID to prove that they are the person who say they are and to prove that they are a citizen of the United States. But these exact Democrats don't want to pass that bill because they call it racist, right? You know, it owes me. You know, I'm in shock how the minds of these Democrats are working. You know, but what are your thoughts about this issue? Because it's getting big, you know, this past few days. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.